from banana. That's what exactly the president is pushing for. We want to get more than one, of course, and we are geared to make sure that we have enough for the country, we have enough for this whole nation, and we will live at peace. We must have enough for our people to eat at home. We must have enough to keep in our granaries or in our stores, and we must have enough for export. And that's what the president is after, value added. And of course, it's called the Banana Street, where the president is at right now, to make sure that everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live at the Kololo grounds. Today, we join the whole world in celebrating science. Every 10th of November, we join the whole world to celebrate science, and this has been made possible through the involvement of STI and the President's Office. We want to thank everybody, every university, every private sector head, and whoever that has made it possible to have this day come to pass. And we're here at Kololo, and we are made to understand that this is going to be happening every day, every year, at least once every year, where innovators will come together and they will be celebrated. They'll be adding value onto whatever they do. We are live at Kololo University. It's a great feeling, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we are at Kololo airstrip, where the president of Uganda is meeting a lot of innovators, science and technology taking on the lead. And what a privilege, what a blessing that our country is involved in such. And I want to call upon all innovators, if you did not be part of this year, next year is going to be happening, so you need to be part and of course celebrate what Uganda has. But I want to thank particularly the president of Uganda, who has all the time come out to make sure that they support science and technology and initiatives just like that. And of course, still on that agro security, where you see those that man that is talking right now is one of those 3 finalists that have been selected in this year. And of course, we want to find out whether he will be one of the people that will be winning up this wonderful award for being the best agro-security innovator, but the president is going to make sure that they do that right in a few minutes from now. If you've just joined us, the president is inspecting all these stalls, and it's a wonderful moment to see people that have brains. They come up with whatever they're coming up with, from nothing to something. It's a great initiative the president is taking, and we're so proud of it, because it is right here in our own home. Buy Uganda, sell Uganda. Buy Uganda, build Uganda. Buy Uganda, invest in Uganda. And that's exactly what we're here. We don't want to spend a lot of resources in doing importation of things that we can do from our own end. And of course, that's what the president is pushing. Let's have Ugandans who are thinkers. Let's have Ugandans who can create. Let's have Ugandans who can mobilize things to happen and innovate things to happen. And we spend a lot of resources on our own people so that we can build the country. And this initiative the president is always pushing right at the stall of Soroti University, which is proud to participate in the National Science Week, which started on the 7th to the 10th of November in 2021. This year is very, very special because we have a lot of involvement from all these universities and different lawyers, different participants have come in, different professors, different doctors have come in to be part of this wonderful initiative. I'm so proud that I am part of this wonderful initiative, and of course seeing the country go to another level. We do not need to import what we can make ourselves, and of course that's the value that is going to be added onto us every other time. We are live at Kololo grounds, and of course you're watching us from your television media channels, but I want to thank you so much for tuning in right here at UBC. Thank you, and thank you, and thank you. What do you want? And at this particular moment, ladies and gentlemen, the president is coming closer. He's coming closer, still inspecting all these stalls. And as the president comes closer, he is also at Bukalasa Agricultural College, where he's being explained what they make, the additions they do to every particular thing that they make. And these are innovations coming in from teenagers right here in Uganda. I'm enjoying this moment, but of course, I want you to enjoy it at home as well, at your pleasure. We did not invite quite a lot of people because we are still living in this pandemic situation of COVID. And of course, the president arrives at the Islamic University in Uganda, and of course, the Department of Biological Science, which has a mission of transforming lives through biology, education, research, and innovation. As he comes, these guys have got a lot of things that they make, and one of the things they make is sour soap juice, which is our own chitaferi. They make quite a lot of great, interesting things that are so nutrient to our lives. And I want to thank the initiative of the universities and the research centers for coming up with such quite good innovations. And of course, for those of you that have just joined us, we are live at Kololo airstrips, where the president of Uganda is inspecting innovative capacities, different people that are innovative in Uganda, and of course that's exactly what he's doing right about time. And finally, the president arrives at a very interesting stall that adds value in everything that we do. But we also want to thank the UIRI Institute, Uganda Institute of Research and Industrial Research, for making an initiative to add value onto whatever Uganda has to produce today. And of course, the president is being explained how mushrooms are grown and the nutrients that we get from mushroom and whatever that we can get from growing mushrooms. These are mushrooms that are not imported but are grown locally in the Pearl of Africa, and as we enjoy it, we take pleasure in celebrating all the other added value nutrients to it. And of course, that's the lady explaining to the president what's happening and all other innovative capacities that have come, because it's just not only mushroom but added value to the mushroom, ladies and gentlemen. And as the president is asking lots of questions to make sure that all the Ugandans know what is happening there, I can see the ministers around him. Minister Muyengo, the minister in charge of presidency, is also there, and of course the chairperson from the mobility sector, standing with the president, and minister in charge of science and technology in Uganda, also part of the procession as they inspect what Uganda has in stock. Beloved, this is the time that Uganda has to get back to the top where it's supposed to be. And we're live right at Kololo grounds where innovators are. And it's time to support our very own people to do their different things that will take Uganda to a different level. And of course, that's what the president is after. And when this is done, definitely the country is going to save a lot on the country is going to save a lot on money that it spends to buy things from outside, import them in Uganda. That means we are going to be job creators. We are going to be having jobs for our children, so that Uganda is a better place to be, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, the president is so into finding out exactly what all these initiatives gotta take right in there. As you can see right on your cameras, the president is so much into whatever that they have here today, and of course asks for the involvement of let's take note, let's get this to another level. And the president seems to be very much interested in UIRI, and is giving in suggestions on different things that they need to do, and to make sure that this happens. And I'm loving this involvement. I'm just enjoying it as the president takes pleasure in just not only watching or coming around to see, but he is interested in whatever that is going on and happening around these stalls. He wants to understand, he wants to know what's happening, he wants to know how you arrive to particular things that you have displayed right here. And that's the pleasure, that's the beat of Uganda, as we have a president that enjoys the products from his own people right here in Uganda. This is so wonderful. I'm enjoying it, and the ambience is quite pretty good. Thank you very much, Dr. Hilary Emma Mosoke, who is also part of the procession right here in Kololo, and of course private sector. He is represented right here. Thank you so very much. And of course that's Royal Research Investment. The Royal Research Investment adds value to beans. Can you imagine? Beans, the stall where beans are, that's exactly where the whole country is. And of course adding value to the beans of this country. Definitely they are making stalls, they're making Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I invite you and of course welcome you to Kololo airstrip, where the president of Uganda has chosen to be part of the initiative going on here, the UBV, and of course the clinical trial against COVID-19 progress to date, and the doctors there explaining where we are in terms of making our own researches and our own COVID medication that is going to help Uganda live in a better place. I want to thank you for being part of this wonderful initiative. I see lots of people joining in, joining the President of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who has chosen to back up all the innovators in the country to see that everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. And of course, this is an initiative that the President has been yearning for, has been crying for, and he keeps on saying we need to invest more money into our own scientists so they can do whatever it takes to make this country a better country. Of course, we want to thank Dr. Hilary Emma Mosoke from private secretary of to His Excellency the President of Uganda in charge of youth, agriculture, value addition, innovation and export promotion. And of course, Dr. Hilary Emma Mosoke is also part of the procession right here as the President is inspecting the stalls of different innovators. It's a great privilege that Uganda has, and definitely we are part of this. Reporting to you live right here on your number one channel, UBC. Thank you so much for joining us right here live in Kololo. I want to thank every stakeholder that has come in to support. I can see Chambago University that has come in handy to be part of this wonderful experience. I also see AITG that has been coming to be part of this wonderful innovation. Science and technology taking on the lead in Uganda. Definitely, if we have our very own supported, Uganda is going to be a better country for us to live in. And of course, we will live in peace and rejoice, because that is exactly where we are heading to. And of course, the President of Uganda takes pleasure in making sure that everything that has to do with innovations and, getting things to another level is given a priority in Uganda. And of course, it's extended in the national budget. Like I told you, that this is going to be a yearly event, that every year we're going to have awards for innovators. So whatever that you think that you can create, whatever that you think that you can do, yes, whatever that you think that you can do, that you can create, that definitely will receive a Grembo. That exactly will receive recognition in the whole world. Definitely, that's the present and photo moment from the anti-tick vaccine development. Of course, you know very well that our president is so much a cattle keeper. He rears lots of different cows and loves those animals so much. So when he gets to anti-tick vaccine development, he takes even a picture, because definitely he loves to spend some time on the farm. And if there is anything that will keep his animals okay, definitely he has to take pleasure in getting that sorted out. Thank you so much for joining us right here at Kololo grounds, where everything is happening. Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back again. We are still live at Kololo grounds, where the president of Uganda is inspecting all these wonderful young innovators. And of course, where he is from is where Dr. Sally Ajanjabiza of Tonde, that's where he is. And of course, passing by the young innovators, scientists and technicians right there. And they make wine and all other things. But of course, he gets to a stand where there is instrumentation division, where there is quite a lot of chemicals that have been transformed into different things for you. And of course protective gear that Uganda needs. There he goes to herbal production for management of COVID-19, which is a formulation and clinical evaluation, which is herbal. And of course we believe that when this is improved, then we will have no choice but Uganda will be free from the fear of COVID. There the president of Uganda gets to see another innovation right there, something that is going to help the women give birth to healthy children, and of course live great when they are expecting. And you know a lot of dangers that are involved when women are pregnant and stuff like that, and into whatever they have to do to undergo in order for them to deliver properly. And that's exactly what they were showing President Yoweri Museveni, how the innovators have come up with a certain kind of innovation so that our pregnant mothers will be very well catered for. But at Chambogo University, that's the stall that we have now. And of course, it's a pathogen economy. And of course, we deal with blood, we deal with samples and stuff like that. Medicine that low and due. And of course, it was launched on this day of the 10th of November 2021 by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni. Definitely, it's a great feeling to be right in midst where he is, because he is helping out all these young innovators start up so well. For those of you that have just joined us, thank you very much for joining us. We are live on our national television, bringing it to you live from Kololo right here. And of course, it is the 10th of November 2021, where we join the whole of the world to celebrate the National Science Day. Now, this day is going to be remembered or celebrated every year. Once every year, we're going to be celebrating this wonderful day. And of course, the president is behind all innovators, and he's making sure that all innovators receive what they are supposed to receive. Of course, being part of this wonderful innovation, I am proud to tell you that the day is going on so well because the weather is good, and lots of exhibitors have come through to exhibit what is happening right at the back of their houses, and of course bring it to the front right here at Kololo grounds. And it's launched, and today, right after the president has finished doing all this, he is going to be at the main tent, and he's going to address the nation. And when he finishes addressing the nation, he's going to award all these different innovators, the ones that would have come up to be number one. He's going to address them, and when he addresses them, he's just not going to talk alone, but he's going to give them a start, a launch into the marketplace. And of course, the government is going to back them up to make sure that whatever they do has a stamp from His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda. Today, we also see lots of innovators that have come in. It's not only adults, because we also have a child as young as 9 years old, as you will see right there in front. She is a great innovator, and the country is saying, let the children be involved in innovating things that are going to make this country a better place. We are live, Kololo grounds. My name is Big Sam for UBC TV and all other national media channels. We want to thank you for joining us, and of course, as we enjoy a moment from all these stakeholders right here who have come to showcase what they have to offer to Uganda. And Uganda is going to back it up, because the president of Uganda is making sure that all our people who are innovators, they get a kickstart into the economy. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the president is having a moment with novel adenovector COVID-19 vaccine. Novel adenovector is another vaccine that has been created in Uganda. They have researched about it, and they think that this can help in the fight against COVID-19. And of course, the president, looking at it, because we are living in the COVID times, he's asking lots of questions to make sure that if it's on the market, our Ugandans can now stop importing all other drugs, and we can have our own people vaccinated with our very own drugs that are researched and are authentic and safe for our lives. That's exactly what the president is doing right now, looking at this vaccine, and the Minister of Science and Technology asking questions, relevant questions, that is going to make sure that we stop importing all these other vaccines that we are importing from different countries that are costing us too much money. But these researchers have sat down and they have researched on the environment in Uganda, so they know the right vaccine that suits the people of Uganda, because they are part of this economy in Uganda. And that's exactly what's happening right about in this particular tent where the president is standing and spending some time right here. And of course, a photo moment right there with these particular beautiful innovators right there. Novel adenovector COVID-19 vaccine right here in Kololo grounds, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, for you out there who did not make it to come to Kololo, we are here to represent you and give it to you live right here, enjoying the moment as the innovators showcase whatever they have to the president of Uganda. The president takes a move and moves to another desk right here, where it's an initiative of Preside, Advenoctor, and of course a COVID-19 vaccine. Well, in this stand, the president of Uganda is being talked to about the inactivated COVID-19 vaccine preparation and assessment of natural and vaccine-induced immunity response at UVRI. That's so science, that's so good. And of course, he moves on to NRIMS, where it is a scientific way of breaking into this COVID thing. And of course, we are living in this COVID-19 situation, but how can we live properly with this COVID-19? That is a case to answer. But with such researchers, such innovators who are so into making sure that this country and its own people live in peace, definitely the sky is a limit. I can't wait for a better way to explain that we will have a better Uganda when we have such innovators given the mileage they need. So that is NRIMS stall, and of course they've got quite a lot to offer. But I also want to thank the initiative of Preside and of course the private sector that has come in to make sure that this is into play. Okay, now we move to another stall, which is genomics and bioinformatic infrastructure. And of course, that's quite a lot that they have to offer right there, telling the president that we are creative. We have researched this these chemicals that we have, and they are safe for humanity, and we know exactly what we are doing. And of course, they are telling the president that Uganda can live for free in very many sectors of life, because the doctors that we have are researchers and they're innovators. And of course, that's what I celebrate today. And the president is giving them a thumbs up and saying, yes, we need such kind of involvement. And as the president moves on, he gets to urine malaria test, and of course these guys have come up with a urine malaria test where you don't need to go to hospital, but if you have this kit privately in your own home, you can test whether you have malaria just by using your own urine. You get this test kit, put it in your urine, and you will tell whether you have malaria, and it will tell you whether you don't have malaria. And that is so good in a country where we have a lot of mosquitoes, where we have a lot of malaria infection, because we are in the tropics. You need such a gadget. The president moves on to another sector where they treat diseases for all for the research, and of course it is emphasized into those blood diseases that they can specify and treat, and of course give you the right supplement for food and stuff like that. And of course we want to thank so much the scientists who have come into play to make sure that such initiatives are done. Now, this machine that we are looking at, it is a red or white blood platinum cells, so it will tell you exactly what kind of blood and what's your infection and what they can do to make sure that you are well. And of course we don't have such in Uganda, but through the researchers in Uganda, these machines are imported, but we're proud that our very own people have sat down to make sure that they have combined and come up, assembled the machines that would be as better as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, it's right here at Kololo grounds where he is having a moment with all these innovators. And of course we're looking at him almost closing the exhibition, and when he's done he will be walked right into the tent where he will be sitting, and he will be addressing all the other stakeholders about what's happening in the country. Definitely we are enjoying a moment where the JCRC innovation to simplify COVID-19 tests and rapid air jump RNA amplification, and of course quite a lot of other things, automated rapid air jump and amplification. And that's where it is the president of Uganda is enjoying this wonderful one. Thank you so very much. And of course the president is giving a directorate onto all these people that please try your level best to make sure that we support our own people. Let's support our own initiatives. Let's support the president of Uganda as he supports the initiatives of these wonderful innovations in Uganda. Thank you so very much. And that's a handshake. That's a thank you. That's a wonderful one. He says thank you so much. And the photo unit right there as they show him exactly what they have done. That shows that the president is so happy about whatever that is happening today. And of course they walk him right lastly, and they show him the genotherapy for HIV, sickle cells and diseases that cancer cures. And of course this is a table chart that shows they could not carry all these different specifications, but JCRC conducted a very first study in Africa on ART and AZT in 1992, and they came up with medication that could cure quite lots of things. Thank you very much. The president of Uganda is now finished with whatever that he is being exhibiting, and he is walking back to his tent. And when he's walking back to his tent, he is going to sit and address the community. He's going to sit and address everybody that has come up with this wonderful initiative. Definitely you're looking at the back. At the back you're looking at the president taking his own seat, and of course there's quite a lot of people that have gathered right here in the tent where the president is going to be addressing people. Now remember, there has been a very big kind of innovation raffle, and people have been trying to make sure that they come to this place, and they put through whatever they have. And definitely the president is going to address all the innovators that have come up to make sure that all these innovations comes into play. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching us right live on your own stations right there, and I know for sure that you're having a great time.
You're most welcome, Your Excellence, and we will proceed right away with the anthems. Your Excellence and the esteemed invited guests, we will stay standing for a word of prayer by the Executive Director of the Government Citizen Interaction Center, Ms. Marcella Kareche.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, the God of Uganda, we thank you so much for the gift of today. Thank you, Lord, for blessing us with good weather. Thank you, Father, for getting us to this particular day, the World Science Day, and the Innovation Awards particularly. We ask that you continue to bless our leaders under the able leadership of the President, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, to guide Uganda as we unlock our potential to take our position in the world. We ask that you bless the rest of the day. In Jesus' name I have prayed. Amen.
Thank you, Ms. Kareche. Your Excellency, Honorable Ministers present, Honorable Members of Parliament present, the diplomats present here, esteemed invited guests, scientists and innovators. My name is Paul Isaac Musasizi. I am the Chief Executive Officer of Kira Motors Corporation, a scientist and innovator, and a Master of Ceremonies. I would like to take this opportunity to invite Professor David Kabasa, who's the keynote speaker for the occasion, to address you, Your Excellency, and the esteemed guests here present. Professor Kabasa.
Your Excellency, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, the Honorable Ministers, Members of Parliament who are here, all protocol observed, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am honored to speak on behalf of the consortium of all scientists and innovators who have given me the privilege to share today a few thoughts. Before I share a few thoughts, we would like to express our appreciation, Your Excellency, and the government for the visionary leadership and the definitive steps towards building a robust, competitive, and sustainable STI, that is Science, Technology, and Innovation System in Uganda, as evidenced by numerous initiatives across the country, universities, research institutes, programs, and grants that have been given to many universities, including my mother university, Makerere University, where I am at the moment. We want to appreciate the support that has been provided, especially in this special time of the pandemic, COVID-19, which has also presented unique opportunities to us to embrace. I would like Your Excellency and members who are here, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to make some salient observations in the chronology of our evolution over the last few centuries. About 10,000 years ago, innovation started in the region of Mesopotamia in the current day Iraq. And the key innovations, some of them included the wheel, the hoe, the plow. And when these innovations came into place, they revolutionized the way agriculture was being done. Society changed from the traditional system of production, which was mainly crop husbandry and wild hunting. Prior to that time, the early man had started with just hunting, but innovation came in when people domesticated the plants, and after that came about the domestication of the animals. At the time of the Industrial Revolution, the agriculture which was going on using technologies like those we have highlighted under the Mesopotamian model were upset by the new innovations that came around, and society was completely disrupted as people migrated to the industrial areas where mechanical machines had just been innovated. From that time, electrical innovations came in, so we moved from mechano to mechano-electrical machines. And people who were using mechanical machines abandoned them. We moved to the next level when digitalization started to set in, and computers started around 1930, 1940. Again, the technology started upsetting society. At the time I was born, I could see the poster, Uganda. People would move around with the technology of distributing letters. As we speak now, the system and the jobs that were linked to this were disrupted. What amazes us, Your Excellency, and all honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, is that 10,000 years later, the Mesopotamian technology of a hoe, of plows, and oxen is still prevalent in our society, which describes the peasant economy, although it is declining rapidly. There are 3 to 4 observations that characterize the traditional Africa at that time before this disruption came in to reach where we are. The first one is the concept of knowledge as a natural resource which was being harnessed at the time of traditional Africa before the disruptions we have had in the very recent centuries. Knowledge is abundant, and the machinery for processing knowledge in the universe is the brain of a human being. The moment we receive the signals, the information into the brain, it processes this knowledge, and immediately you appreciate and you create the next product out of knowledge. That knowledge can proceed if you are trained further to add value, to give you a skill. So knowledge transforms into a creative ability, which is a skill. I am then able to write and guide all that we want to do using the knowledge. If we proceed with that knowledge further, that knowledge will, the creative ability, will proceed to make a product. And the product is harnessed from the available materials that we have, including the speaking I'm making now. It is a product of knowledge being processed rapidly by the brain as the machinery for processing knowledge as a resource abundantly available. I checked the definition of knowledge, and they said data, facts, information. There is information in the plant which is processing sunshine to make food. But until you seek to find out what is happening there, you will not get that knowledge. When you seek that knowledge and get it, you transcribe and write it. And the knowledge is written in books. Then we go and read these books and find the knowledge. So knowledge is stored in books, in libraries. Most recently, it is becoming digitalized in another form. The main challenge that we have had today is to neglect completing the knowledge value chain. The governance of the knowledge value chain needs to be completed so that we are able to get the creative ability, the product, which is the innovation out of this creative ability. And this product can be a technology or an improvement in any of the products that we have on the market. The fragmented nature of the creative ability that we have today is not consistent with the traditional model that existed in traditional Africa before it was upset. In the traditional Africa, which explains the migration of all this technology across Africa. When you move across Africa, you will see the Mesopotamian model and other technologies spread across the whole continent. That brings me to the next point of the community of practice. In traditional Africa of that time, communities were practicing and sharing in cultural bombers the knowledge that existed. A simple example we have right now is the way the manyatas are organized. So the young men, the women, and all categories are there. And the brain as a machinery which processes knowledge is capable of interacting across different categories, and knowledge is transmitted. As I speak now, knowledge is being shared, and as HE has been moving and sharing, knowledge has been shared. The organized structure of a community of practice, which enabled the Africans of that time to share the technology, was disrupted. We have a system of knowledge processing which is linked to a person goes to class, picks some knowledge, continues along the way, picks some knowledge from the textbooks, and after that comes out a community of practice where knowledge is diffusing is highly fragmented. And this is a key need for us to diffuse knowledge and change it into products and innovations. There are a few examples of communities of practice, such as Katwe here. These ladies and gentlemen practice and have some knowledge. And because they interact all the time, there is a diffusion of knowledge from people and co-creation of products. The Katwe we have today is far more advanced, even when there is no specific lecture being given to them, because the innovation process continues to generate new knowledge, new products, and so on. Traditional Africa had another thing, the think tank community. When you go to the communities in the rural countryside, you still find the elders in the evening gathering. But even this is being disrupted now with the new technology. The opportunity for the youth, especially in the countryside, to gather and have a think tank model does not exist. When I checked in the literature of history, I found that there's a history of meetings, and meetings were think tanks which started long time ago, particularly linked to wars and preparation and designing strategy on how people would handle. And this is how it led to evolution of innovations such as the arrows, the spears, and so on, because there was a think tank system, a community of think tanks. If we would like to proceed today, it is extremely urgent that the communities of practice are created. While in the modern Africa, this was disrupted, the communities of practice continued in other countries, such as in the US and Europe. They organized the structure and put legal frameworks around them, the evolution of companies and so on. And this has made sure that innovation continues. While here, the fragmentation of communities of practice, fragmentation of think tank communities, as well as the neglect of knowledge as a knowledge value chain, has resulted into our lagging behind in that domain. The existing systems of knowledge creation and knowledge governance even go further to declare people incompetent early enough. Your Excellency and members, a brain is the machinery. Minus the brains here, all this natural resource will stay, and there will be no processing and creation of innovations. A child is born with the foundry knowledge from the Creator. If you examine all children, they are all born with the foundry knowledge, all of us. Knowledge begins to be transferred into the brain from the environment and in the community where they exist. After 5 to 6 years, they are taken to the next school, and the system of knowledge transfer begins to state that if you have not acquired this point or the next one, you are incompetent. Before the child is 10 years, the mind of this child has been told, you are not competent. If we are going to address the issue of the brain as a machinery which is going to co-create within knowledge clusters, economic clusters, within communities of practice and think tanks, that issue needs to be born wonderfully, declared stupid in about 10 years by the knowledge system in the community. The third aspect is the system in the traditional Africa which was able to mold the knowledge and transfer it from down through up to the next generation. It was a programmatic approach. Knowledge did not stop at one stage. The creativity continued, and innovations and capacity to create continued. These three principles, Your Excellency, have been a core discussion of the scientists in the last 1 year when we were under the leadership of the Presidential Advisor for Science on Epidemics. There was a big discussion of different scientists, and later on more came on board and said we need to create a community of practice where you see the innovators in the various industrial value chains we have just seen, for example, linking up with the scientists, linking up with the policymakers to mold innovations that will go to the market. We need the knowledge of the policymaker, we need the knowledge of the scientist, we need the knowledge of the innovators and entrepreneurs, industrialists, we need the knowledge of the community, so that the product that comes out has input from the various knowledge machineries, and we can create a product that is competitive. We have observed this model in Israel. We have also seen this model in China. We just have to be deliberate in creating a community of practice, a community of think tanks, so that knowledge products that are competitive on the market in form of innovations can come out. If we are going to take knowledge products to the market, then we need to follow the entire value chain from where the raw material is, add in knowledge and process it all the way to the market, to the consumer. The repositioning, therefore, Your Excellency and members, is that we are going in for an industrial value chains approach. And today, Your Excellency, we have exhibited some of the emerging industrial value chains, communities of practice that are emerging to ensure that products will now get to the market, both here and far. The agro-security, from statistics, Africa could have a $1 trillion industry if the entire value chain is addressed. In the pathogen economy, the delivery of vaccines and pharmaceuticals, the global market of 1.7 trillion, and Africa at 60 billion, and where Africa is only able to produce 1%. We looked at the statistics of the digital economy, which is at about 120 billion. And as this country grows, this market on the continent is a target for us to participate in as scientists, supporting the innovation process, the processing of knowledge. Because this is the domain of scientists, the domain of researchers. One of the interesting discussions was on the cultural industrial value chain. It has not exhibited here, but we know that many others will come on board. And people are discussing, Your Excellency, if you harnessed the cultural resources of this country and changed them into an industrial value chain, and possibly had a cultural theater, Uganda as an investor in New York, This could be one of those that might attract a lot of money, because you'll have every evening people relaxing in this industrial enterprise of an industrial cultural value chain. It will require the input of engineers to change this cultural music and dances to create the appropriate sound in sound engineering. A consortium approach is critical if the scientists are going to support the commercialization agenda, the industrialization agenda. And therefore, the engineering cluster or industrial value chain is discussing how can they contribute effectively through reverse engineering. They were talking of products that whose patency has already expired. And if we form a community of practitioners, if we form a community of think tanks and entrepreneurs and innovators and policymakers, we can mold and create these products right in Uganda. I recall they were discussing things like these bulbs, and a number of them have been highlighted here. Why do we have to continue importing them? They can reverse engineer. But the struggling innovators need the support of the scientists. Like they are doing in agro-security, in pathogen economy, the scientists are saying it is our turn and it is now. This week there has been discussions of the climate change in Glasgow. The technology and the thinking is move away from the traditional fuels, carbon-based fuels, and go to new ones. Our scientists are saying we are part of this and we can be a contributor like we have seen in the mobility value chain, which has projected to begin producing 500 vehicles annually by 2010. As I conclude, Your Excellency, the knowledge value chain should be concluded all the way from knowledge as a product, and the capacity does exist among our scientists to work with the innovators and build on this knowledge value chain all the way to create technologies, to create innovations that will accelerate our industrial development. Innovation should be taken as a simple thing, in simplicity. Every value-added product is an innovation. But we need now to build the community of practice, to think tanks, to create this value that is competitive on the market. We are available, Your Excellency. We thank you for the support and the encouragement. And the innovators, scientists who are here, only told me to pray that here we are, send us. Thank you so much, Your Excellency and members, for listening.
Thank you, Professor Kabasa, for the keynote speech. Your Excellency, the World Science Day for Peace and Development was proclaimed by UNESCO. And this afternoon, we have the chairperson of the board of UNESCO in Uganda, and I wish to invite him to come and greet you and the delegates here present very briefly. Professor Elia Bulugujo. Let us give him a round of applause as he rises to the podium.
But you have not told His Excellency that you have limited me to 3 minutes. You know, I have a prepared speech, but they told me not to read it. They said, come up and greet His Excellency and the participants. So I don't know what to do.
It's okay.
His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Honorable Minister of Science and Technology and Innovation, Office of the President, members of the UN, country team, His Excellency Ambassadors, High Commission, innovators and exhibitors, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I stand here in 3 capacities. I'm chairperson of the board of UNESCO at the Uganda National Commission for UNESCO, Minister of Education and Sports, and I'm a vice chancellor of Ondeje University, which is the only chartered and private university specializing in science and engineering. And thirdly, which is maybe significant, I was in Budapest in 1999. Because I was a member of the executive board then, I was representing Uganda on UNESCO executive board for 8 years. And during this period, that is when the day came into being. So I am actually a witness of the discussions that transpired then. Even the issue of priority Africa, that Africa cannot develop without science, that issue was discussed in 1999 in Budapest, and also in 2001, I was on the board when this day was proclaimed. So that is why this day is very significant for me when I stand before you. UNESCO came into being in 1945 after the ravages of the Second World War. 1945, I was 1 year old. You see, at that time, I was a baby then. And the main function, okay, was, when it came into being, is that UNESCO is a laboratory of ideas and foresight. And the guest speaker, I think, has alluded to that. It is a standard setter. UNESCO is a standard setter. UNESCO is a clearing house. UNESCO is a capacity builder and a catalyst of international cooperation. UNESCO fields of competences are education, science, culture, information, and communication. In natural sciences, which is the focus of this day, we are here all of this natural sciences, the priorities are building institutional capacities in science and fostering international science collaboration. In earth systems, ecological and hydrological sciences, biodiversity, disaster and risk reduction. In science and technology innovation specifically, UNESCO supports inclusive science. And yesterday, when the 41st General Conference opened up in Paris, they introduced the idea of open science. And our representatives are in Paris. The conference started yesterday. So it is not only inclusive science, the issue of open science is coming up, okay? And recognition of prior learning. All of these issues are being discussed. Then we have technology and innovation, STI systems, and sustainable development. The Uganda National Commission for UNESCO was established in 1963, just a year after our independence. And I have to tell you that a year later, in 1964, the first batch of science equipment arrived in Uganda. I was in senior 5 then, and we enjoyed the best laboratories, world-class laboratories at Makerere College School I was in. The president, I'm sure, was 1 year below me. He must have also used some equipment. The first batch, you see, yeah, because I did Cambridge in 1963, you see. This is the situation of UNESCO. It has been with us. The objective of the natural science at the National Commission is to support and strengthening national capacity in science, technology, engineering, innovation policies, and management. And I have to say, the first ever science and technology policy Uganda has ever made, 2009, UNESCO was part of it. They sent a consultant here, and we worked together to bring out that policy in science and technology. Now, for relevance, our national theme, though different from the global theme, reflects our national aspirations by focusing on the future of science and technology innovation in Uganda, breaking the silos and leveraging synergies of a skilled and sustainable workforce for national economic transformation. This is good, a good theme, broad enough to address the national needs, including the needs of building climate-smart communities, which is the global theme. Now, UNESCO support is through integrated approach of mobilizing additional financial resources of developing countries, supporting and promoting international cooperation, South-South and South-North, in all its areas of competence, and the access of science, technology, and innovation through specialized arrangements like the technology facilitation mechanism and the technology bank of the least developed countries. These provide effective targeted capacity building, including addressing data needs, promoting policy and institutional capacity. Now, why are we relevant here? I'm relevant because I've said that we came up with the technology, innovation policy, and also academic chairs. UNESCO has had academic chairs in this country. UNESCO has supported the ICTs. The national teacher policy currently has come up because of UNESCO. Okay. Then we have these cut crossing issues, the industrial value chains being showcased here today. The pathogen economy, mobility, agro-safety, beauty and apparel, engineering, digital, all of these products are within the line of UNESCO strategic innovation system. We need to engage on how these can be supported. It is unfortunate that the Ministry of Science and Technology Innovation team is not in Paris, and they have rung to ask why they are not in Paris now that the ministry is under the office of the president. You see, we have to answer this evening why the members are not in Paris to attend the 41st UNESCO General Conference, but I will have to cook out some words. We will answer. Okay? Yes. Your Excellency, we are very happy that we have come to the rescue of science education by standing firm against all forces. How do you retain quality teachers, quality researchers, quality science and scientists in the system if their input is not enhanced But I'm happy the other day I really listened to you. You were firm, you put your legs down and said, come what may, this is what I'm saying. And we're extremely happy for that stand. Because all our problems in this country is that the teachers in secondary schools scare away learners, isn't it? But if you've got a qualified teacher, a passionate teacher, we will get out good products. We will go up and do the research we are interested in. As I end, I would request you to ratify. These are conventions set up by UNESCO. One of them is the status of scientists and scientific researchers. It came into being in 1974. And Uganda is a party, but it is not operationalized. That is why they don't know that we are internationally bound to recognize the status of scientists. You know, it is international convention. It is not Ugandan thing. In order to move forward, we must recognize scientists. The second one is the Global Observatory of Science, Technology, and Innovation Policy Instruments. We call it GOSPIN. And lastly, Science, Technology, and Innovation Indicator Tools. It is there, but we have not again ratified. Dr. Museveni is going to have a problem if she doesn't have indicators how to judge quality. We need to go universal and adopt that. In fact, I want to end here by thanking you for coming in, also for Dr. Museveni and her team for really bringing us here. With those few words, I wish you the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Gujo, for those indeed instructive, as always, remarks. Almost 2 decades ago, I had the opportunity to enjoy some of Professor Gujo's classes at Makerere regularly. Your Excellence, the festivities celebrating science, technology, and innovation today globally, and also here and in the past week for National Science Week, have been made possible through the work of the Secretariat of Science, Technology, and Innovation in the Office of the President, in partnership with private sector foundation. A round of applause. Your Excellence, at this particular moment, I wish to invite Honorable Dr. Monica Musenero, who we also call the Fresh Minister, to come and address us. And as she joins me at the podium, I'm going to request the chairperson of the organizing committee to slowly accompany the baby of the contestants, Anne, and help us stand a little bit longer as she participates in the Honorable Minister's speech. You won't invite, you will invite the President to come and address us.
Your Excellency, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of Uganda, the Honorable Ministers present, Honorable MPs present, specifically recognize the presence of the members of the Science, Technology, and Innovation Committee of Parliament, the heads of academic institutions, all heads of institutions who have come, heads of diplomatic missions, the scientists, the innovators, the Innovation Award contestants, all invited guests, exhibitors. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this event. Your Excellency, I'm so gratified that you could make it to come and officiate and also give us opportunity to share with you what is happening. Your Excellency and fellow Ugandans, we have been observing the National Science Week from the 2nd to the 9th of November, and we close it today with the celebration and commemoration of the World Science Day for Peace and Development. Your Excellency, we domesticated the international theme, which was the future of STI, impacts on education, skills, and work. We domesticated it to the future of STI in Uganda, breaking the silos and leveraging synergies for a skilled, sustainable workforce. Your Excellency, we chose this theme because it aligns with the ongoing efforts to address the issues of fragmentation. Through the years, you have built a lot of capacity in the country to do science technology. What has been missing is bringing these efforts together into a value chain that can complete. Your Excellency, most of the things, the people you saw here, 4 months ago, many of them didn't know each other or didn't have any means of working together. But through the efforts made to build teams, that's why we're taking you like from city to city, because those people have been brought together and now they can speak to each other, and we see that we can drive industrialization because now they know each other and they work together. One addresses the needs of the other. Your Excellency, I would like to point out that we are celebrating this in the time of transition, and it has been the sheer will of bringing together different groups of people to celebrate, to organize this, and the way they have put it up together is evidence that we are indeed breaking the silos. The first action was to create those spaces that Professor Kabasa referred to, calling them think tanks. Your Excellency, there are 6 functional think tanks. These are made of individuals from the different institutions. For example, all the engineering schools in the country, all the engineers have a think tank, and they meet once every week on Zoom and discuss issues. And out of that, we have come up really with a coalition now. They know what is missing and how to work together. The mobility things you see, we have been able to collect all those people. They didn't know each other, but now they can discuss, and now we are able to organize the sector to start to be localized. Your Excellency, the Science Week and this day, we have had several activities, and one of them is this one, the exhibition. This is the 3rd and last day. The exhibition opened on Monday, and we have had a good turn-up. I have been on a crusade since you appointed me to work on these vice-chancellors and their scientists to create mindset change, so that they move away from the slave mindset and begin working to create, to support innovations. We support productive science. I've been with Professor Lugujo twice, and we have some agreements on where they should move the science. I've been with Professor Nawangwe, I've been to Ndeje, I've been through all these universities, Soroti University, and trying to look, because we have the scientists in the universities, we have the innovators out there in Katwe. The two are not meeting, and so we cannot develop the industry. So this exhibition is to show you where we are. These are not all. I'm going to continue to dig out more, and as we put systems in place, creating that network will rapidly lead us into the industrialization. We also want to share with you where we envision that we should go as a way of translating your vision, which you have shared, and I am working hard to translate and communicate to the nation, to the scientists, and put things in place so that we can function. Your Excellency, the other activity we have done is to have an Innovators Award. We have come up with an Innovators Award, and this year was the first. We had the first Innovators Award. We took it through a system. It has been a process which started on the 15th. We hope that this will encourage innovators to come up. And Your Excellency, it was very rewarding that when we called for people to nominate, we had a total of 164 innovations that were submitted for the competition. It has gone through a 5-step process. And today, the finalists, we will be requesting you to award them the certificates and also plaques. Now, these awards are going together with some funding, organized funding, and also mentorship, training, skilling, support, so that we can take those innovations into industries. Because I think that's the practical way we can begin pushing things. And Your Excellency, in that light, I want to tell you that your message is getting to the Bazukuru. Our youngest innovator who applied and reached the finals, she came as a runner-up, is here. She's only 9 years old, and I would like her to tell you what she was doing. Tommy, please.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, the Prime Minister, the Speaker, honorable members of Parliament, all distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor to be here in front of you. My names are Mpaji Trami Ann. I go to MST Junior School. I am in primary 4 and I am 9 years old. I stay in Kasangombe Wakiso. My parents are Mr. and Mrs. Mpaji Godfrey. I innovated an e-learning app called Shack. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, please allow me to go through my project. Due to COVID-19, about 15 million Ugandan learners had to stop studying. In my home place, children and learners were loitering around doing nothing, which could lead them to bad habits like taking drugs, getting involved with bad people who could teach them bad habits, and destroy their future. I felt sorry for them. For me, I had the chance. My parents had introduced me to a vegetable and piggery project, which was keeping me and my sisters busy. I had to think and think. Then I came up with a solution which could keep children and learners busy at home also. The idea of creating an application called Shack came in. Your Excellency, Shack provides study materials for learners of all levels. How it works. First one registers by creating an account. Shack provides the user with study materials in form of notes, exercises, and audio. Your Excellency, this application was designed in a friendly way that even learners who don't have morale to study can be attracted. It has soft music in the background, which makes you relax while doing the exercises. Your Excellency, when this application goes to market, it will make It will make life easy for learners, teachers, institutions, and parents. How? Learners who are sick or have little money for transport will have to use it for mobile data and study while at home. During the holiday, learners will be able to continue studying while at home. Children with disabilities will also be catered for by adding an audio to sign language interpreter for the deaf and text-to-speak for the blind. Teachers will only have to tell their learners topics needed to be covered and come to class only once in a while to explain where learners have difficulties. This means teachers will have more time to do other businesses and earn more money. Schools, institutions with less or little facilities like classrooms, their learners will continue study while at home so that a small number can come and meet their teachers for explanation and exams to maintain social distancing during a pandemic like COVID-19. Accomplishments. This application has notes, audios for primary level in some classes, e.g. primary 4 where I am. What is needed for this project to go on market? We need facilitation in terms of experts in programming and some other workers, study materials like notes based on the current curriculum, cash money, etc. Special thanks. I want to thank God for this day and all the brain for thinking higher. I thank my parents for facilitating my project. I thank my teammates, Paji Trinity Mark and Paji Trevor Mark. I thank MSC Junior School and all my teachers. I thank Makerere Innovation Society for teaching me computer programming languages like HTML, C++, Java, free of charge through Solomon Bwire. I thank the judges for choosing my projects among the best. I thank the people of Uganda for voting me. Most thank goes to Honorable Monica Musenero. Honorable spotted me at Makerere University when I went for a presentation. She told me that from that day I am a celebrity. Her words gave me a lot of confidence and strength up to now. Since that day, Honorable has been checking and encouraging me not to give up. Honorable, thank you for being a good mother. Conclusion. Your Excellency, the President of Uganda, I kindly ask you to support me and my project. By doing so, you will be supporting a girl child to make a bright future for all children and people of Uganda. When you support me, my future plan of becoming a computer programmer like Mark Zuckerberg will become true. Thank you for listening.
Your Excellency, that's one of the innovators, and what they need is an ecosystem which supports them. Allow me to quickly summarize where we are. We have an awakened spirit among the scientists and innovators now. If there are some still slumbering, Your Excellency, you'll help me to continue amplifying the voice, but I will go to their institutions and meet them where they are, make them a little uncomfortable until they join us. We are also, alongside this awakened scientific and innovative community, Your Excellency, we now have capacity built in a number of institutions at government and private universities and other institutions. We have some capacity for sophisticated manufacturing, like we have the CNC machines in 2 institutions. Now in Uganda, we can make 3D printing. We can manufacture a number of electronics and electronic circuit boards. And this builds a foundation. And so we are ready now to build startups, businesses which are starting. What are our biggest challenges? Well-structured financing and business development system. The financing keeps us really constrained, and we will appreciate a discussion to come up with specialized financing, because these products are not like, a full-grown person. They are like a newborn baby. Not only do they require a midwife, but they also require babysitters and many mentors before they will turn into the businesses. We also need incubation and technology parks, and we also need packaging. Packaging is a big limitation, especially for the productivity and agro-security. We have a proposal for putting up a packaging center, and we really need it so urgently, otherwise our commodities don't compete on the market. Then the private sector engagement, it has been minimal, but I have initiated it. Your Excellency, I want to thank you once again, and I would like to take this honor to invite you to address the audience and the nation. Thank you.
The honorable ministers and the scientists and all the invited guests. Prior to Uganda's independence, science, technology, and innovation was an integral part of the central government under the East African Common Services Organization, YACSO, with headquarters in Nairobi, Kenya. The 3 countries, Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania, first cooperated in matters of STI through the YACSO since December 1961. During its lifetime, YACSO was instrumental in setting up the University of East Africa Inter-University Committee for East Africa, East African Post and Telecommunications Administration, that was subsequently replaced by the East African Posts and Telecommunications Corporation. YACSO later became the East African Community in June 1967. With this arrangement, STI appeared to be quite well organized. However, its efforts were focused more on research aimed at improving productivity of cash crops such as cotton and coffee, and tackling tropical diseases such as malaria and trypanosomiasis. Because that was part of the problem, part of the unfair division of labor, where Africa was, whatever science there was to produce raw materials better. That was the whole idea. After independence in 1962, Uganda embarked on nation building with industrialization being at the center of the development agenda. STI was expected to play a key role in the industrialization process, but it did not feature vividly in the development plans of the time. There was a lack of clarity on how to promote STI to national development. This led some scholars to believe that STI was often given low priority in the development planning process. However, there was a growing global effort to help development countries use STI as a tool for development. United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, was formed in either was formed or something. They are talking of 1987 here. It's not clear. I'm reading a prepared speech. Several African countries in the 1960s and 1970s established national research councils as coordination mechanisms for scientific research and development. In Uganda, a National Research Council was set up in 1970 to guide and coordinate research efforts. The predominant view at the time seemed to be that industrialization was preceded by research, then experimental development, and later production and commercialization of products. This linear view of STI is often criticized because it fails to recognize other factors necessary in the innovation process. A systems approach to STI seems to be the more favored view because it recognizes the contribution of several actors in an interactive learning relationship and the factors which influence such a relationship. Innovation is believed to be an outcome of these complex interactions between diverse actors. Most of all, the drive to integrate STI into national development planning was initiated by continental-wide efforts, notably by UNESCO, which supported conferences of ministers responsible for application of science and technology in development in Africa 1 and 2 in 1974 and 1987 respectively. The Lagos Plan of Action 1980 was also apparently involved UNESCO. In UNESCO's view, rapid scientific and technological progress could only be achieved through the indigenous efforts of developing countries. This view became popular among developing countries because they found it consistent with their aspirations to liberate themselves from colonialism. Consequently, in 1980, African leaders met in Lagos, Nigeria, and developed a masterpiece, Lagos Plan of Action. The Lagos Plan of Action provides that each country should establish a center or a body to help the country in determining the origins and effects of alleviating the technological dependence and in approaching, this is in quotes, and in approaching technological self-sufficiency by striking socio-economically favorable balance between foreign inputs and those inputs that are generated by the indigenous science and technology systems and utilized by the national sectors of production and services. Such a center was to be entrusted with the mandate for national science and technology policies and coordination of all national research and development programs. The ideas of the Lagos Plan of Action were for member countries to attain self-sufficiency by becoming technologically independent. The Lagos Plan of Action specifically called for member countries to develop short, medium, and long-term integrated development plans with science and technology as an integral part. Perhaps that is why in 1987, I appointed the late Professor William Senteza Kajubi to chair the Education Review Commission. The Kajubi Commission was empowered to overhaul Uganda's educational system following the 2 decades of Uganda's decline of the 1970s and 1980s. 2 years later, 1988-89, I spearheaded the establishment of Uganda's first University of Science and Technology in Mbarara since Uganda's independence in 1962. This was after I had struggled with Makerere University to turn it into a science-based university. Soon after establishing Makerere University of Science and Technology, I also spearheaded value-added research and development and commercialization of the Nile toothpaste from our local Mutete. I saw it here. This was probably Africa's first herbal toothpaste. Notably, hardly any herbal toothpaste or health products were popular in Uganda in the 1990s. But herbal toothpaste brands, including multinational brands, proliferate in our supermarkets in Uganda today. In the early 1990s too, I spearheaded and supported the creation of the Makerere University Building Unit with equipment, machinery, and money. Makerere University Building Unit was supposed to be a partnership between the Faculty of Technology and the Estates Department. Its aim was to harness the skills and expertise of staff and students in the Faculty of Technology so that Makerere University Building Unit would compete for construction contracts in the open market. Had things gone according to plan, by now Makerere University Building Unit should have built such skills, knowledge, competence, and technical capacities that it would be competing with international construction and engineering companies that dominate the Uganda construction market today. Foreign companies are making a lot of money by constructing roads in Uganda. A lot of money goes out. From the foregoing discussion, you see that the integration of science, technology, and innovation in Uganda's national development planning could have started in the 1990s under the NRM with the establishment of the Uganda National Council for Science and Technology. Under the Uganda National Council for Science and Technology Act 1990, that law replaced the National Research Council. During the 1970s and 1980s, development planning was interrupted by political instability and civil unrest, and further by structural adjustment programs of the 1980s and the early 1990s. Between 1990 and 1997, the government implemented an economic recovery program aimed at stabilizing the economy and creating a conducive environment for rapid economic growth. These included, among others, interest rates reform and fiscal measures to reduce Uganda's budget deficit, liberalization of trade policies, and revitalization of the private sector. From 1997 to 2008, development planning was guided by the Poverty Eradication Plan. Significant reforms of the public sector happened during this period, including the creation of dedicated research and development organizations such as the National Agricultural Research Organization, NARO, Uganda National Health Research Organization, UNRO, and the Uganda Industrial Research Institute, UIRI. Government-aligned ministries assumed a policy and regulatory function, leaving research to academic and research organizations. It is at this stage that traces of STI integration, international planning, and development started to emerge. Though not explicitly stated, the need for STI was implied in most of the poverty eradication program actions, particularly those meant to increase ability of the poor to raise their incomes, such as modernizing agriculture, as well as in actions to improve the quality of life of the poor, for example, combating HIV, developing more efficient energy systems, designs for improved housing, and improving primary and secondary education. The Poverty Eradication Plan was Uganda's comprehensive development framework from 1997 to 2009. It was government's planning document. In all the PEEPs, PEEP 1997 to 2001, 2004, had no specific actions to promote science, technology, and innovation. But they all recognized the need for STI in some of the actions, such as those aforementioned. It may have been possible to articulate STI within the context of poverty eradication program, but such a strategy would not be sufficient mechanism to promote science, technology, and innovation, primarily because results from science, technology, and innovation are usually realized in the long term, though there could also be short-term outputs. Poverty eradication plan neither provided a clear mechanism of how to use nor invest in science, technology, and innovation to bring about the desired outcomes of economic growth. As such, it appeared as if science, technology, and innovation had been given low priority and no status in the planning process, despite its potential central role in enhancing economic growth. The Poverty Eradication Program was replaced by the 5-year National Development Plan starting 2010. The subsequent national plans, NDP2 and NDP3, and the National Resistance Movement Manifesto 2021-2026 all peg onto a robust, scientifically based industrialization for the country to attain a middle income status and transform population from subsistence to a modern society. Over the past decade, substantial efforts have been invested in infusing science, technology, and innovation into the national economy. On the one hand, National Development Plan 2010-2015 recommended the Ministry of Science and Technology to institutionalize a sector for science and technology and innovation. The Omaswa Task Force report, on the other hand, recommended a new Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Technology, and Industry with the mandate to coordinate and oversee higher education in Uganda. The task force noted the successes of the presidential initiative in science, technology, and innovations in Makerere University, as reflected, for instance, in the Kira electric vehicle car innovation. The task force recommended that this initiative be developed into a national science and technology research fund to be awarded competitively through the UNCST under the Ministry of Higher Education, Science and Technology and Industry. In view of the foregoing, therefore, I created the new docket for the Minister of State for Higher Education, Science and Technology in March 2015. This is how the former Minister of Education and Sports became the Minister of Education, Science, Technology and Sports. STI was included in the NDP2 as a sector that provides institutional and infrastructure support to the production of goods and services. It was the first time science, technology, and innovation was explicitly recognized in the national development planning process of Uganda. Unlike in the 1960s, 70s, and 1980s, where foreign influences shaped science, technology, and innovation planning, the integration of science, technology, and innovation into NDP2 was an outcome of indigenous efforts, which I spearheaded. I then created the Ministry of Science, Technology, and Innovation in May 2016 with a mandate to provide overall policy guidance and coordination for scientific research, development, and the whole national innovation systems in Uganda. The main objective of creating the Ministry of Science, Technology, and Innovation was to facilitate science-led economic development with a specific emphasis on increased industrialization, commercialization, and improved productivity in all sectors. The Ministry of Science, Technology, and Innovation was encumbered with persistent functional duplications and overlaps with its key agencies, glaring gaps in coordination and regulation of a fragmented ecosystem, cannibalistic competition, undermining effective performance on the backdrop of the absence of a prioritized national science, technology, and innovation agenda to guide strategic action. Due to the lack of clarity, delineated mandates and functions, critical areas in the management of the science, technology, and innovation were not accorded due attention by the Minister of Science, Technology, and Innovation. It is against this background that in June 2021, I directed that the portfolio of science, technology, and innovation be placed under Office of the President for direct and effective management. The reason I did this is that using the small money which I had in the State House vote, the money which I used to give cars to bishops, to support people who are sick, to support cultural groups, support youth. I was using that same money to do a number of very clear things which are on the ground now. Some of them I saw here. Like, for instance, the little support I gave to the joint JCRC to develop a diagnostic test for COVID. They now have it here. I saw it. And apparently it is more efficient than these ones you are Okusaka. You know, Okusaka among Banyankore is not a good idea. If a home is not producing enough food and they buy from others, they call it Okusaka. In Runyankore, it's Okusaka. In Uganda, that home is not looked at with good eyes. So now it seems this diagnostic test, apparently according to them, can give you results in 30 minutes, while the ones you sucker from outside take 7 hours. That was from the retro money I had in State House. Professor Kawa has developed an anti-tick vaccine. I saw it here also. So we are going to have a situation where the cow kills the ticks. Instead of the ticks killing the cow now will be killing the ticks. And Professor Kawa needed some little support here, support there, which she couldn't get from. So I had this little man, I supported them, they have it here. And there are so many examples there. Using that little money, I was even able to build Nachobe, my former State House controller, has finished or is about to finish building a leather industry in Kaumu. So things can be done. That's why I said, you bring that ministry near here where I can see it. And nobody would persuade me, nobody would play around with me. Because you remember you voted for me. Have you forgotten, you people? I accordingly appointed Honorable Dr. Monica Musenero Masanza, the Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Office of the President, serviced by the State House Controller as accounting officer. This administrative change birthed the Docket of Science, Technology and Innovations, Office of the President, STIOP. In view of these structural adjustments, there is a need for planning to inform streamlined implementation of the plans at national level, addressing the observed disparities and concerns. Even with these structural adjustments, some of the actors in the old establishment and bureaucrats in government have made it hard for the ministry to access funding, which is hindering